Oftentimes, the headline of a parsha is at the beginning. We read the parsha, we see the story often, or whatever is going on at the beginning, and that's kind of what frames our mind about what the parsha is about. Whether it's Bereshis and creation, or Noach and the flood, or later on Shlach with the Meraglim, every parsha that we think of, typically, it's the beginning of the parsha that frames our relationship with it. This week's parsha, I think, is different because the climax, the apex really of the parsha, the real challenge is at the end. It's Parashas Vaeira where Hashem tells Avram Avinu to take your son, your only son, the one that you love, referring specifically to Yitzchak, and elevate him on the altar as a sacrifice. And this is difficult for Avram on so many levels. Not only is this the son he's been waiting for, but it really goes against everything Avram has been teaching about Hashem, about others, about kindness. And so Avram is really struck at the core with this very, very difficult request, what we call a test. And in fact, it's the only one of the 10 tests that our sages tell us that Avram Avinu had to endure. It's the only one which actually frames it as a test. V'ha Elokim nisa es Avram, and Hashem tested Abraham. And the obvious question is, why does Hashem test? Why does God need to test someone? It's one thing when a teacher tests a student. Maybe they don't know what the student knows. Maybe we test somebody to learn what skills they have. But Hashem knows. Right? God knows everything we're capable of doing, so why does he need to test Avram? And Ramban asked this question. Nachmanides asks it, and he answers as follows. He says that the reason for a test is not for Hashem, but it's for us. It allows us to take the potential within us and move it, mehakoach el hapoel, to move it from potential to reality. That our job in this world is to grow. Our job is to change. Our job is to transform. And the tests that we are given to us to transform us. That's why we are tested. It's a powerful message. I think it really speaks at the core to life, and probably more so than ever, the life that we are encountering right now, where every day feels like a test, or 1,000 tests over. And when I speak to people, whether they're school leaders trying to keep their schools open, or business leaders and owners trying to stay afloat, or parents and community members trying to deal with the challenges of being stuck at home and all the uncertainty and the unrest politically we're dealing with now. There's so many things going on. We are being tested and tested and tested again. The good news is that if we are going to be tested, it's because we have the capacity to endure and overcome. Because there's no point in a test that we know we're going to fail. If Hashem knows, if God knows we cannot live up to the test, he would never test us. And that, I think, is the most comforting piece of all. And so just like Avram rose up to the challenge, perhaps the greatest challenge of his life, because at its core he knew that his service to Hashem trumped anything else, and no, that was not a political reference. We too need to remember that our service to Hashem, our service to our community, our service to each other and to ourselves really needs to trump everything else. And that needs to be our North Star, our guiding light, and allows us to overcome some of these most difficult moments. So as we think of the parsha of tests, as we think about the idea of what it's like to be tested at our core, recognize that we have great potential within each of us. We all have the ability to do great things, and sometimes we need a massive kick in the pants in order to move us in the right direction. And I hope that we can continue to find inspiration in each other, of course in the messages of our Torah, and live the life that we were meant to live. Wishing you a wonderful Shabbos.